He serves God well, who serves his creatures. This is the topic for today. And I want to discuss on this matter today so that you may also get some good knowledge from me. So today I want to tell you that we all the people in this world try to appease God Almighty by worshipping him in our respective ways. We follow our respective religions in order to appeasing God Almighty. That is good. We should abide by the laws made by God Almighty. But we have forgotten the one thing that we are focusing more on worshipping God Almighty in an ostentatious way or in a pretentious way. We are not trying to serve the fellow people who are in miserable plight. So this is the main misery today. We are following our religions, that is good, and we just want to show ostentation while performing our rituals and in our religion, and that is not good. I don't think that by doing these pretensions we can appease God Almighty or we can make God Almighty happy, because in if you want to make God Almighty happy in true sense, then you will have to start serving the fellow people who are in deep trouble. So, if you have grudge, enmity, malice, and violent feelings, anger in you, then after doing those, if you are having many ill practices and if you are having many demerits in your life, and after them, if you want to appease God Almighty and if you want to start worshipping God Almighty, then that is good for nothing. Your exercise will be regarded as futile. So, Mahatma Gandhi had also told us that in prayer, it is better to have a heart without words than words without a heart. It means that it is not necessary that we must show pomp and ostentation in order to appease God Almighty or make Him feel proud of us, because God Almighty has told us that He serves God well, who serves His creatures. If you have forgotten one thing, that all the people in this world are the creation of God Almighty, and we are supposed to help them, and we are supposed to minister to the poor and downtrodden and ill people who are in dire need to get the help from us. So, this is the main thinking of appeasing God Almighty. And instead of doing that, we have just started beating about the bush. We don't want to hit the nail on the head. And we don't want to think that whatever we are doing is not correct way to appease Him. So, if you have sympathy and if you have love, affection towards your fellow people, and if you don't bear any kind of enmity, grudge, then you are indeed serving God Almighty in true sense, and you will certainly deserve heaven. And those people who are very malicious will certainly deserve hell. The hell is waiting for them. So, you must keep one thing in your mind, that we will have to pay a heavy price for our evil deeds. If we indulge in ill practices in our life, then we will have to incur the wrath of God Almighty, and that is very sure and certain. All the people in this world have experienced that we will have to face the music if we commit a crime. So, this topic is very important, and I think you will certainly take a leap out of this, and you will certainly start helping your fellow people, and in that way, you will certainly make God Almighty happy. And many people go from many religious places in the world so as to appease God Almighty. We go there to from pillar to post. We think by reaching there, we will certainly help God Almighty or we will certainly make Him happy. That is absolutely futile thing. I don't think that if we don't make our parents happy, if we don't make our relatives happy, and instead of doing that, if we go to pillar to post to find whatever we want, then we are not finding anything. Therefore, we must start thinking that God Almighty resides in every individual. So we will have to start worshipping God Almighty by helping those people who are in deep trouble. Thank you.